you looked at Carvana recently? I have. I am a big Carvana hater. It's one of my biggest missed predictions ever. Carvana is, as a stock, thriving, though they have a lot of debt, and I'm not a long-term believer, but they're doing better than expected. Carvana, it's vending machine cars. The thing I didn't quite realize was, first, they have enough runway to last longer than I expected. They also restructured their debt so it's not so crippling. Like, they don't have payments that are due immediately. That's the first thing. Second thing with Carvana is that Wall Street loves the idea of having car dealership margins, which basically means taking a car from someone else, marking it up and selling it to the customer, getting that fat profit without having to pay car dealership real estate costs and employee costs. Like, it's the dream business for Wall Street. It's like, we can just have a business that sells cars at a big markup without having to pay for salesmen or employees, or like, that's the dream of Carvana. It's the dream. And so they're giving Carvana a lot more leeway, because if it works, it'll really work. But it's still not profitable. I mean, it's still a bad company. I'm still pretty confident it will come down to earth, but I was more betting on their debt catching up to them quicker than it did. How do you smell the car before buying in Carvana? Good question, dude. Good question. If the car gets stuck, do you have to buy another one to push it out? Very good. Car vending machine. Yes, you do. Imagine trying to buy the cheapest car to push your GMC Sierra out. We talked about Twitch subs going to 6%. Oh, $6? Yeah, I did talk about it. It's finally time that Twitch streamers get some money. I guess they eventually, you know, if $5 is worth less every year, eventually they have to raise prices, but I think it's going to lead, it might backfire on Twitch. I think it's going to lead to a lot of people canceling a bunch of subs. Do primes change as well? Primes, they pay you less. They always have, and they're given a worse split. If you're a primarily tier 1 streamer, which I think I am. Oh yeah, more from tier 1s. If my tier 1s stayed roughly the same, it'd be a pretty significant boost, I guess. But my thought is people will use this as a chance to, I mean, I've already done this. I looked at who I'm subbed to, and I cut some that I haven't subbed in a long time. I haven't streamed. I cut like some smashers that I've been subbed to for 100 months. I have been subbed to Liquid Ken for 100 months, and I've watched maybe 2 streams. He streamed almost no times, and I'm like, bro, I gotta cut this. I gave him $500. Can I get your prime? I gave it to Squeaks, unfortunately, and then he called me poor for priming. All the Nvidia talk, just use your prime. My goal when I acquire a probably once in a lifetime surge of Nvidia wealth is not to punt it all on Twitch subs. Did you ever consider moving states to sell Nvidia? No, bro, I'm not gonna tax fraud. Did you sell your shares? Yes, I did. I'm spending my time. I spoke a little bit to my brother because he works in wealth management. I've also gotten a bunch of, they couldn't have known that I sold. So I think it's just like a generally Nvidia stock price is high thing. But I've gotten all these emails and paid LinkedIn requests from like wealth managers who are like, hey, we know that Nvidia employees are dealing with like, this is a good time to figure out a good plan for the future of your accounts. And it's funny, I got a bunch of those. No, I'm trying to do it myself because it's fun for me. I've been trying to learn this stuff, you know? I'm trying to get a real nice diversified portfolio. If you buy half of your Nvidia stocks while on vacation in Texas, would you have to sell in both states you want to liquidate? The taxes will apply to the state where you live. If I wanted to reduce my tax bill, I'd have to move to Texas or move to Puerto Rico or something. And then you have to live there a certain number of days a year. And I don't want to live in Texas or Puerto Rico a certain number of days. I mean, I could do what Logan Paul does and pretend to live in Puerto Rico and then sail out, but too advanced for me. Oh, do you guys know? I don't know enough about this, but it could be interesting if you live in a place that has a Family Dollar. Do you know how there's Dollar Tree stores and then there's Family Dollar stores? They're both owned by the same company, but you know there's difference? For some reason, listen, in times where things are economically tough or there's food cost inflation, etc., dollar stores do good. And they have generally been doing, like with the economy K-shaped, as I've been saying, Dollar Tree does good. But for some reason, Family Dollar has been doing terribly. And so I don't 100% know why that is, but Family Dollar is doing way, way worse. And Dollar Tree is doing good. And they're the same company. So it's like, they're thinking of spinning off and selling all of their Family Dollars. I don't 100% know why. I need to look more into it, but it's interesting. Is Family Dollar more expensive? If it's more expensive, like that could be it. Because people will go to cheaper shit. But it could also be location. I think Family Dollars are generally more rural. Big A, thoughts on Modi losing his mojo? I think this is a bit overstated. I understand there's some interesting fact that he didn't win as overwhelmingly as they thought, but he did win. People were telling me, oh, the Nifty 50's crashing, bro. India stock market is crashing. I had a comment today. Wait, let me pull up this comment. This guy was in my shit and he was like 250. Stock market crashed as Modi didn't get a full majority. Surprise, surprise, smiley face. And I was like, damn, was I wrong to dismiss it? Is this a huge deal? So then I pulled it up 3% today, and the big drop down 0.1%. 0.1% in 5 days. Dear God, dear God. And it ran up, it ran up in anticipation of the election. And of course there was it's insane. People were in my chat like, you gotta sell, dude, it's crashing. What are we talking about? It feels like this is well within the bounds of what people expected. If anything, a bit of a coalition government will be better for India than one person who already is a bit abusive of power getting more uncontrolled power. India versus China, who would win? They're not fighting each other. Outside of with sticks and stones on one border, and not even that really. They're actually trading more than ever, which is not a great sign. India is really playing both sides to come out on top. But if they were, right now, China would win. And in 20, 30 years, perhaps India. Don't they have a border dispute? They do have a border dispute. They have not let it get in the way of a good trade. India is the Dr. Pepper of countries. You know what? On the surface, that sounds stupid. If you go deeper, it's still stupid. If you go even deeper, you're onto something. If you go 2 layers deeper, there might actually be something there. Didn't Ukraine and Russia trade a lot? Ukraine is not a nuclear superpower, nor has China ever claimed Indian territory like Russia does for Ukraine. I think there is a very, very small chance of a Chinese invasion of India. Oh, no, I already mentioned the border dispute. Yes. I mean, India, the nation of India is not something that China claims. And I promise you, they are managing that border dispute. If anything, it is less explosive than it was before. Again, a few years ago, it was thought that we could use the border dispute to drive a wedge between India and China and make India a stalwart, let's say, NATO G7 ally against China and BRICS. More recently, that has not been the case. India has played it kind of masterfully and is now trading heavily with China and the G7, and the border dispute has not escalated, nor is a problem. What other stories was there? There was, the peso, dude. After the election, the market is not trusting that this new leader of Mexico is going to be fiscally responsible enough to raise taxes and cover bills and not just have to print money. Because if they keep printing money, it'll devalue the currency, and they're kind of front running this bet. And definitely the peso it took a hit instantly. If it keeps up, we'll see what that means. But what do you think about the South African election? First time since democracy, the ruling party failed to secure a majority. I'm not informed enough to put that in Marketing Monday. Maybe I could take a look at it. I think it is part of a general trend. I mean, a lot of the elections this year are surprises, with one side doing better than expected. And generally, not always, not the Mexican election, for example, it's the side out of power that is doing better because people are upset with whoever's in power because of the way things are right now globally. I mean, we're in like the end of a debt cycle, People are generally like trying to sweep new things into power. That's happening all over. I think, European Parliament elections are going to be insane. Yeah, Canada is again probably going to have a big rightward shift because there's so much, consternation. People are upset with insane housing prices, cost of living going up. You know what I'm saying? But what's funny is like no individual leader of any of these countries is really to blame, because it's a global problem, but every individual citizen, like, this is my leader's problem. This is Trudeau's fault, or this is Biden's fault, or this is whatever leader you are. They're mad and they want a shift. And so the out of power parties are like hammering that to gain electoral. There already is. I see so much insano shit in the comments of Canadian content farm pages. Why are you scrolling Canadian content farm page comments? Your mental's got to be in the gutter, bro. What's that? There must be something to do. The leading right party has no policy, but just dumps on Trudeau. But that's what the out of power party does in every democracy right now. That's what they do, bro. And so if things aren't good, then the party out of power just gets a big boost.